Welcome to another Demarcation Media Mega Construx review. Or maybe I should be saying Mega Blocks review because we have an old Mega Blocks Call of Duty set. This is the Desert Troopers pack. This set was loaned to me by Noir Renard, who is the owner of the Squad 45 Discord. So big thank you to him for allowing me to review this set. And without any further ado, let's jump in and look at this box. The Call of Duty line was so cool because they did this photography on the front. This looks like something that I would want to go out and take photos with. Like this is why I got into Mega. This right here, this looks amazing, Mega. Please, why do you have to do renders for the Halo set fronts? This is super cool. I really like this. And I was told that these coordinates actually will lead basically to where they shot the photo. Typically there'd be a figure shown off here. We get some of the actual renders up there. Around the back, it's all renders, but it looks pretty good. We get to see all of the tons of accessories. We get to see all the figures, and we got some like night vision-y looking things. This guy's in the middle of like a tactical reload. You can see the mag kind of dropping as he's popping another one in. Pretty cool. And then it just kind of opens here, and then this is a used set, so we've got all the parts inside. Alrighty, there's all the contents of the set out, put together. I didn't really have to do much because the set came put together. We have this little brochure kind of thing that came with the first the first sets because people needed a more detailed breakdown of the joints and whatnot. Look, you can see that the arm is supposed to set all the way in, not stick out like that. Put all the figure together. I feel like this honestly might even be useful for some of the Halo sets now. And look, you can see the introduction to the line. And then the instructions themselves are another giant sheet or just kind of a sheet. And then we get all the parts. And yeah, it's kind of cool and a little sad to see the introduction of the line now that it's ended. But to remember the line, let's go ahead and jump in and look at those figures. So here's our first figure. He kind of seems like maybe an officer of some sort. I don't really know. Unarmored or ungeared Call of Duty figures looked always a little strange to me, but they do keep a pretty high level of articulation when they've got all their gear off. Even his head can look way up. He's got a little bit of weird looking neck around the back. Speaking of his head, you may notice that there is some white junk on his face. This happens pretty often to older figures, both Halo and Call of Duty alike, where they gotta get this build up on their face. A lot of people I've seen on the Reddit, like the Mega Construx subreddit, being really kind of panicked about it when they open it up, but don't be panicked. Just get a damp something. This is a sponge brush. Or you can use a Q-tip or something, and look at that. It's all gone. Comes right off. I don't really know what it is, what that buildup is, but it's really easy to fix. Also, I really like this dude's skin tone. It's a really interesting skin tone. It's like slightly more dark than the usual white skin tone that Mega uses. So that's pretty cool. And right now he is pretty simple, just in desert fatigues, not much else going on. Our next figure is a much more geared up soldier. He's got the combat helmet on as well as like a flak vest, which is pretty cool. Now that I'm looking at him, I don't know if he's actually got the correct color waist piece. They might have been mixed around because, like I said, this was a used set. So if there's any weird inaccuracies like that, please excuse them. I do really like this guy. I feel like he sums up the Call of Duty line pretty darn well just looking at him. He does have the same junk on his face, so we're just going to kind of swab it away. Lots of print going on with his head, but that's about all the print that's on there, but that's fine. And there are attachment points on his flak vest and the front and back of his belt, which is pretty cool. And again, still pretty good articulation. There's no limiting armor the same way that Halo figures have. This guy is pretty interesting because his head is basically the same mold as this one, I believe, and then Mega has just added a gas mask onto it, which again has all of the white gunk buildup. So we're just gonna sponge that away. I do really like this gas mask. It's very front heavy, which I guess makes sense, and it does limit the head movement. a tad, but he can look way up. It looks a little strange looking way up. But this dude almost has like apocalypse survivor vibes to me, mainly because of that gas mask. And then he's got a backpack. This is a great backpack piece. I actually love adding it on to Halo figures. It makes a great addition to Spartans, I feel like, especially even though it doesn't fit quite as flush to their back. I think the idea of a Spartan just having this big loaded pack full of gear is awesome. And it even is good for Marines too. So this part, super useful. I love having it even if I'm not using it for Call of Duty figures. And then it just, overall, another really good figure. Again, fitting the desert vibe, and he's pretty geared up. This guy's, we're like slowly going through the stages of like, we had this dude who was not very geared up at all. And then we had this guy who's a little bit more geared up. And then this guy's got the pack and the gas mask. So he is all set. This guy has one of my favorite Call of Duty heads of all time. This is the like night vision goggle head, which again, I believe is sharing the same base mold, or the masked version anyway, of this one. Light green in there. I think that's glow in the dark. Mega typically makes those eyes glow in the dark. Again, we've got some residue, and we're just going to wipe that off. You do have to work at it a little bit to get all the cracks and crevices, but not too bad. This guy definitely seems like a lighter, maybe scout, because he doesn't have the backpack, though he does still have the flak vest. Again, keeping up the desert scheme. Looks pretty good. I just really love that head. It looks very cool. I like the like almost Spartan-esque look that it has, but he's like got the lighter look. I don't know. It's just cool. I just really like it. And the fact that Mega typically does glow in the dark for those is even better. Our last figure is a little bit different than the rest. He looks to be some sort of technician, operator, I don't know, something. He's something a little different because he's got a different harness here, got some bullets up there, lots more straps and buckles, less protection, and then his helmet, or it's not really a helmet, it's like a mask, and then he's got goggles, and then he's got like a listening headset, and of course he has some old plastic residue on there. So we're just going to wipe some of that off. Again, you kind of have to work at it to get all the little cracks and crevices, but that's another head mold that I really like. It's really cool looking. I don't know. I like it when the Call of Duty figures have masks. Also, cross-strapping looks really good. The molding there is sharp, and he's got that more speckled color. I feel like this is just has more speckles in it in general. The rest of the guys didn't have as much. And he's got printed or painted boots, which kind of shakes up the color scheme nicely. So yeah. Again, no real limited articulation. You can look all over the place, and it's a pretty good looking figure. The big thing about these Call of Duty sets were the fact that they came with so many parts to modify the figures with. So this is a riot shield. It has this piece added on to the center. It's got two studs. You put this to cover up the empty space. It's got a handle on there. Then we have all kinds of different guns. These can be modded kind of how you want. This one has a silencer on it, like a silenced machine gun, all in tan. This one's a darker color, more stubby machine gun. This one has a more round barrel and a scope added on, and you can pop and swap these. They kind of slide on these rail system, which is sometimes really good. They're tight like this, and sometimes not so tight, and the mags will fall out. This one is a more like, I feel like you see this style of machine gun in movies a lot. And then this one has some different colors, again, with the scope. So yeah, there's a bunch of options because you have the gun base, and then you can put the barrel and the stock on. So you can really make your weapon how you want it, which is pretty cool. They can also hold muzzle flares, even though there are no muzzle flares in the set. We have a kind of camo looking crate, really interesting kind of modeling in the plastic, some silver pieces on top. And inside we have a ton of gear. A ton, an actual ton. So we got like a shovel, got a radio, a bunch of leg straps, bunch of leg straps. So these all can be added onto your figure's thighs. So we're going to just show that real quick. So we got the figure, and I'll rip his leg off. Don't worry, he will recover. And then this piece because you see the tab sticking out. That part will go out. So we're just gonna slide that on there like so, pop back on. And now what we can do is we can take one of these pouches, come on camera, there we go, and you can attach a pouch on. So for those of you who might not have seen much of this line, that was kind of how the customization worked. And you could load up your figures. We've got some knives here, black one and a gray one, or a dark brown, sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pouches of various colors. So you can really customize all of your figures. So like, for example, this dude, we could put that on there. Then we've got a grenade. That might be a flashbang, I'm not sure. Whoa, come back. We can stick. I said we can stick this on. That's pretty cool. Now, these pieces do tend to get splits there, the grenades in particular, at least stress marks, a lot of times splits. So you just have to be aware of that. They typically will be okay, even if they crack, but just be aware. So yeah, you can load them up like that. There's this fanny pack piece right here. That's meant to go on the tab around back, like so. So he's got extra carrying capacity. There's more. Oh, there's another knife, a lighter knife, and there's a flashlight. So also, here's a good example here. The backpack, we can put a knife on. It's so hard to do from behind a camera. I promise I know what I'm doing here. Okay, we're gonna leave the knife off. Instead, I think that's not even the best spot for a knife anyway. We're gonna put a mag on there, extra mag, like so. Where did the radio go? Let's see, the radio, we'll stick the radio on the side like that. And then we will put a flashlight as well. So now he's all geared up to go wandering a bit in the desert, which is cool. This looks like a pair of Star Wars macro binoculars, but it's actually a Claymore. We have a bigger, like, heavy machine gun mag, and then a canteen, which I feel like they should have given us more canteens, seeing as these guys are in the desert and need a lot of water. Another grenade, and a pair of binoculars that also has an attachment point. So there's a lot of stuff here, a lot of ways for you to customize your figures, and it was a really neat system, which is, I'm not even a Call of Duty fan, but that system is one of the reasons why I'm sad that the line ended. This set comes with a little bit of fortification for your figures. There's a little plant here, which is great. Terrain is always super nice to get. Tons of sandbags, or not tons, but a really good amount. And there's also these clips, which I think is for putting the guns like this, just resting your gun on to steady it a bit, during the long hours of watching through the night, maybe waiting for the enemy. So that's pretty cool. It's really simple, but I feel like stuff like this added so much to Mega sets because, buy a couple duplicates of this, buy a couple other sets like this, and you suddenly have enough to build yourself a very small headquarters out in the desert or whatever. So I wish Mega would do this still. Just more of these little fortifications for the figures to kind of camp out with. Well, there you have it. That is the Call of Duty Desert Troopers set. So this set feels really good. Great colors, tons of accessories, great little side build. The crate looks awesome. But something that I wanted to bring up, because I feel like everybody kind of almost over glorifies the Call of Duty line now that it's gone. The hands are genuinely the worst thing Mega has ever made. Those hands and the Destiny hands, because the Destiny figures share the same scale and molds, they're terrible. They break easily. They also sometimes will just not hold weapons right out of the box. I know the Halo hands do that a lot, where it won't quite hold it, but I'm talking about you put it in there and it just wobbles back and forth and almost just lifts out. That guy has it a bit. But yeah, the hands are genuinely really bad. People are like, oh, the Halo hands are so fragile. These hands, just excuse the Steve Spartan real quick. He's just the closest thing I had on hand. These hands don't snap nearly as much as the Call of Duty hands do. I feel like I can actually pull stuff in and out of the figures' hands without worrying about them breaking. With Call of Duty figures, I'm always afraid that the instant that I put something in their hand, it's going to break. Speaking of Call of Duty, this pickaxe right here, I believe, was potentially first from the Call of Duty line. I know Call of Duty used it. Maybe it was the Elephant that had it first. But yeah, Mega pickaxes exist. So yeah, that's the bad thing about the Call of Duty line, and something that I hope Mega never brings back. It would have been nice to see them change the Call of Duty line to match the Halo scale and use the Halo hands. But that being said, this is a pretty good set. I would not pay any more than like 30 or 40 for it if you're buying on the aftermarket now, just because, again, those hands, you run the risk of breaking them all the time. So overall, if I were to rate this out of 10, I would give this a 9. The hands drag it down a bit, but content-wise, this set is really well-rounded. I like all the figures. I don't feel like any of them are duds, and you can customize them pretty much however you want. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and consider subscribing, and I'll see you next time.